Well, hey, what's up, Venture? David Diaz here, and I'm here with Erica Lane. I want to take a minute and just congratulate Erica. So Erica did a 2-year internship here at the church, and she did it under the worship ministry.
Yes,
and
I
so she, honestly, Erica, you were an incredible intern. You were an incredible supporter. You grew so much. And the thing is, you didn't just grow yourself, but you had an impact that is so lasting. I think you grew people, you grew the ministry. And so this church is incredibly blessed by you and the way that you serve us. And yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Let me tell you a little bit more about Erica. So other than the worship internship, Erica is an individual with many, many talents. Erica does photo and video. Erica obviously sings and does worship. Erica also is in the coffee scene. Hello.
Yep.
But I wanted to specifically talk about worship and being a part of the worship ministry and how that's helped grow you and shape you and what it's like for you to be able to serve in that capacity. And it's very different. It looks different. It's just it's not any more or less than anything else, but it's just different than being an usher or different than being a teacher in a kid's classroom. And so today we'll talk about all those things, just kind of what it's like to be on worship, what Erica has gotten out of it, specifically outside of the internship.
Yeah, for sure.
I kind of want to paint the volunteer experience and what it takes to be a part of the team. And then we'll kind of talk about what people don't see, because what people see is a Sunday morning, we're like leading and all that stuff, but there's so much that happens behind the scenes and so much that happens that's so far beyond like me and my job and my responsibilities here. And it really is a team effort that makes this thing happen.
Absolutely.
And so why don't you dive in and just quickly introduce yourself and then just talk about what let's start with talking about what a Sunday morning looks like.
Yeah, for sure. So my family and I came to Venture around 14 years ago, and as soon as I could join the elementary worship team, I was on it ASAP, and then kind of worked into J-High worship and then to the youth ministry worship, and I led there as a student, and my first year in internship, that was kind of more what we called my practicum, was doing worship, was leading with David for the youth group. And we had a rule when I was like, I think a junior and senior in high school, that they wanted the Sunday morning worship team to have like more adults on it. And so that was my chance then to like grow in youth worship and really dive in there. And so that was a super fun, exciting 2 years. That was kind of how David and I like grew together as like a worship team. And then pretty soon after that, we started diving more into, or I did, more into Sunday mornings and doing that. And we've started, we've been doing One Voices, and I've done like women's conferences or like meetings, and he's done men's ministries and stuff. And so we've kind of been like all around the church. But what I didn't even think about, like what most people see is definitely like just the Sunday mornings, like what most people see. But like David said, there's a lot more to our job than that, and it's like probably the most fulfilling job I think we could like ever have is literally what we could do with our lives is to worship Jesus. Like, holla, that's amazing. Yeah, so there's a lot of prep that goes into Sunday mornings. We have just an incredible team of volunteers, and I don't think that's anything that David and I have done to like recruit them. It's all the fact that like the Lord has just brought incredible people, and especially like Pastor Brandon is just, I was talking about this with a friend the other day. Pastor Brandon has this gift of rallying people like for life and for long periods of time. And then people want to be a part of like the Venture crew and the Venture team. And then
it's a family. We talk about that, whether it's like the church in general or just a worship team in general. Like it's such
staff,
a family feel. The staff just, I don't know. It's so different. And I mean, there's only one other place that I've really worked out other than Venture. But the thing that is just different about here is that if you don't love the people here, like it just doesn't, like, I don't know. I don't know that it's like so much about the people here as much as it is about like I just have realized at this church, something that I've learned is being a follower of Jesus means you just undeniably love your family, your tribe, right? And so we are Team Venture, we are Team Worship, we are Team CR. Like we love this church and we're all in. And so, okay, so let's dive into Sunday mornings.
For sure.
So what does a Sunday morning look like? What is call time?
Yeah, well, depends on how many services we were doing, but
That is very true.
right now, our call time is 7 a.m., so we're getting up bright and early, and I think downbeat is at 7:15, if that's correct.
So don't listen to what she just said. Call time is 6:45 a.m. with Grace.
Oh, then I am running late.
Yeah. And downbeat is actually 7 o'clock a.m. Okay, so let me take over here for a second. So our call time is 6:45 a.m. And I know that sounds crazy early. And I say that as a loose call time. And so
it is crazy early.
Because it is early and just different people have different things going on. And here's the reality, like being a vocalist, there's a lot less setup that it takes for you to be ready to go by that downbeat by 7 o'clock a.m. than it is to play like electric, where you have to bring in all your gear and stuff like that. And so a loose 6:45 a.m.
Yes.
Oh man. And I promise she actually did the internship.
I promise.
And 7 o'clock a.m. downbeat. Yeah. So what does a rehearsal look like for us usually?
Rehearsal, normally we do a rough run through of the set, kind of work out the kinks, make sure everything's going well. We're kind of working alongside our tech and media team throughout the entire morning. So it's not just us up here and like they're back there ready to go. We're working together like the whole morning to work different things out and technical issues. And then after we do like a kind of rough run through of all 3 songs, we'll go back and fix things that we feel like we could run over again. We also always start in prayer because that just gets our hearts right at the beginning, and pausing and lifting it up and saying that this whole morning is for Jesus. And then, every time after that, our stress is just like melts away for the whole morning, because we can come in tired and stressed and, having car troubles, or it's cold outside, or I didn't tie my shoe. But then like we pray and instantly everything goes away, and we're just able to set aside time to worship Jesus. And it's just the best way to spend a day of your week. And then after we kind of run through that, we go through transitions between songs. And then once it is time for when we can make enough noise to not wake up the neighbors, we do a full straight through,
hard hitter
run through.
Yeah.
Yes.
So essentially, the model that we create is different than a lot of other places. So we don't have year-round midweek rehearsals.
Yeah.
We do midweek rehearsals seasonally. So essentially things like the holiday season, we take off. Summer, where people are traveling, we take off from midweek rehearsals. And simply, we want to do, yes, we value growth, but we also value, honestly, everyone's time. And we know that I'd much rather work really, really hard on a Sunday morning in the season where people are traveling and are willing to be back for church on a Sunday than take away like midweek time or evenings that they can spend with their family and kids in the evening. And so, in seasons where we don't have our midweek rehearsals, those Sunday morning run through, and it's really just like
super vital.
it's an informal run through and then it's a formal run through. It's so important. And our philosophy is, we schedule the set in advance, and honestly, it's usually about a month out in advance that people know that they're scheduled at least a month out in advance, and then they know their set list about a month out in advance. And so you have plenty of time to practice, and we'll talk about how often people are on and whatnot, but you have plenty of time to practice and prepare, and our philosophy is that practice is something that you do on your own. You learn the songs, you learn the parts, you figure out what parts there are to sing or what parts there are to play and things like that. And when we come together, rehearsals are to put things together. Yeah. And so that first section of the rehearsal is kind of running through and playing through things, and we'll kind of stop here and there and work out kinks, but it's really just for things to fit together, not to learn the music. For our team to like get unified and before we. Yeah, and so it's a game changer to practice on your own and then try to put it together with other people. It's part of if you haven't played with a band, it's just part of what it takes. And then, like Erica was saying, we get through all of that and then we do a formal run through. And so right now with our service times, we have that loose, kind of informal, like choppy run through from 7 to about 8. And then right at 8, we start our actual run through, where we run through the set and transitions with our media team and our service producer, and it's all hands on deck. By, the time flies. The time really does fly, and it's interesting because it's so early, and it probably sounds like it's so early, and you might be watching this and have no musical talent and have no interest in joining the worship team, and that's like totally cool, but like it's so weird what happens when you join, like that 6:45 a.m. might sound super early, but when you get here, you're just like excited to see everyone.
Yeah.
And you're excited to worship together, to encourage each other. We all cry together. We share our prayer requests together. It's literally family. It's like our own little growth group in addition to the growth groups that we're a part of on a weekly basis, outside of like the church building and things like that. And so, all right, so let's keep talking through Sunday mornings. So we go through rehearsal, we go through run through, we're done at 8:30. First service starts at 9.
Yep.
We go through the first service, and
honestly, like 15 to 20 minutes sometimes goes around there.
It's, I don't know. Really. I can't set a timeline.
Yeah.
Worship
never
might
really
be
know how long it's
15, 17 minutes. It might be 25. Yeah. If it's 25, I'm so sorry we went late. But we go through the set, and honestly, it's so interesting because there's so many teams that have this culture of like, oh, first service is so tough or whatever. Yeah. But honestly, I go into first service and I'm just pumped, and it's not just like this energy or excitement, but I'm just excited to like be close to Jesus. Yeah. And I think that's kind of what we all can stack hands on. It's like, and that's honestly my heart for the team. It's that we're not known for being this great sounding worship team or this thing is like great looking. That's not what it's about. I just want to be a people that are undeniably in love with Jesus. Yeah. And we talk about that like every Sunday, and that's the reason why we're here. We're here for Jesus, and we're here because of Jesus and because we want to express that. And I think there's nothing more, whether it's compelling or there's nothing more like attractive than, I don't know, there's just something about a stage full of people that are in love with Jesus and are chasing after Jesus in their worship.
That's so true. And like to go off of that, that's one of the reasons why we really value people on our team practicing throughout the week, so that when you come and you're prepared and we're able to just unify with that practice time, then when we come up here, we're not worried about hitting the notes or being perfect with the chords because we've spent all week practicing. We can just like worship Jesus and just be like very free with it. Yeah.
Again, the goal and this goes back to like our worship values. Like one of those values is authenticity, and it's two-sided, but there's that one side that it's like if you're authentic, you realize that you're human, and you realize that you need to practice.
Yeah.
And you need to prepare, and that we're not just going to show up and sing perfectly or play perfectly or whatever. But what I love about that is that it not only makes you be a realist about yourself and just you realize you're just a human being, you're not better than anyone or anything. But something that comes with that is we get to just focus on like what Jesus what the Holy Spirit wants to do during worship instead of focusing on what comes next.
Yep.
And that's something that is a big deal to us because we don't want to be focusing on like what's coming next or transition or the notes or what the words are in the middle of worship. Like we just want to fix our eyes on the Lord. And it's really cool that the music and the lyrics and all these things could become muscle memory and honestly, just the spiritual side of worship gets to just take over and thrive.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
So it's super exciting. Okay, so we finish the first service, where we come off stage, and then we all get together in our green room. And right now, we're doing everything we can to socially distance. And so we actually don't meet in the green room. We meet in the hub where we can spread out. And we talk through the set. We talk about what went wrong, what we might need to change, what we might need to tighten up. And we have a role that's called the music director. And so the music director is on the back line. It's typically one of the electric guitar players or the keys player. And they're the ones that are kind of guiding us through like the map of each song. Yeah. So again, we're not thinking about so much of what's coming next, but we just, I don't know, they're kind of keeping us together, you know.
So they have a mic that only goes directly into our headphones that we're wearing. Yeah.
Yeah, those are the, if you ever see us messing around with the in-ear monitors, that's what that is. So yeah, our music director is just kind of guiding us, keeping us going, the glue that holds it together, I guess. So our music director will just hit on like, hey, you might want to look at the chord chart on this section, or hey, rhythmically, we need to kind of tighten this up. And then
the vocals, we were all over the place here. Let's like coordinate what we're going to do. Yeah.
Yeah. And so then we also get to hit on like, okay, like now what's our spiritual read on the room? What's our spiritual read on how that went? And whether it's me leading or sections that Erica might be leading or a different volunteer lead team member that might be leading, we talk through that and we prep for the second service. And so we, after talking about the prep and anything that needs to be addressed for the next service, we we stop and we spend the rest of that first service going through, honestly, just figuring out where each of us are at, and we pray together. Yeah. We literally spend probably, worship, the set's about 20 something minutes. We probably spend about 5 minutes talking through, and then the rest of the service, which is almost a half hour, we spend just hearing how each other are doing, and we pray over each other and our families and our workplaces. And Erica, I want to kind of stop here and ask you, what's been like the coolest part of that side of it?
Yeah, every single time I talk to somebody about worship team, I'm like, they're like, is it kind of just like I sign up and then I show up? I'm like, no, it's like you're like committing like a part of your like heart to this group. And as soon as we get off stage and we start prayer requests, it's more of just going around and asking how each of us are doing and how we can be praying for you. And every single person normally opens up, and we've had tears like nearly every week for like months with this. And it's a place where we can just release, and you're maybe not with your like immediate social circle. So like, it's kind of a safe space where you're around also pastors and fellow Christians that are just able to speak life into one another. And we don't just like hear it and move on to the next person. There are people that will give advice and like comfort, and then we're able to individually pray for each and every person. And it just grows the team, it grows the mission forward, it grows the church, like, and then those people we want to like encourage other people to join, because you're not just joining this like band, you're joining like a community that you want to be a part of. And that's like, I think my biggest draw. That's my favorite part of Sunday mornings, is the in-between meeting between first and second service. But yeah.
It's really cool because we go through all of these emotions and life things together, but like, there's nothing better than hurting with someone, and we all hurt together and we hurt for each other, and then we all celebrate each other, and then everything in between. And honestly, that's my favorite part.
Oh yeah.
That's seriously my favorite part, because there's just nothing better than either loving someone and seeing what God does in you loving someone, and on the flip side, seeing what God is just doing in other people. And I know that when I'm having a rough week, that someone like an Erica or someone else has just something encouraging to share. And that's hard at times, but honestly, it's really cool to have a community of people that just can celebrate each other, and we can kind of feed off of how each other are doing. And I think that's cool. And I keep going back to we're a family, and I think coming back to like the leading worship side of things, I think that we all come as we are. We're being real, we're being authentic, and we recognize that we're not up here because we're perfect. We're not up here for any other reason than we had like maybe a musical gift and felt that call from the Lord, or that prompting of the Lord to use it in a way that we serve. But there's something about us supporting each other spiritually, even while we're leading worship. And I know that like when I'm scheduling Erica or Sharon Conley or Pat or Jimmy, like whoever, I know that they're not just here to play or to sing or to contribute, but we're here to back each other up spiritually in all that we do. And that's in life, in worship leading, and in everything. So to keep the conversation rolling, we go into our second service, and after the second service, traditionally, all of us either sit with our families or our friends in service. And so what's that like, coming off stage and then jumping right back into the service? Like, is it weird, or are you used to that now? Or
yeah, I'm pretty used to it. I'm looking forward to like hearing the message from the Sunday morning, because part of worship is like we're devoting the first part of service of like your Sunday morning experience to Jesus and to lifting him up and worshiping him, and then getting our hearts right for what God's about to bring in the message. And so I love to like be myself experiencing it, because I think I'm experiencing it the exact same as somebody like in the chairs is as well, because we're just all worshiping together. There's no hierarchy. So it's nice that I get to spend a certain amount of time worshiping Jesus and then hop right off and sit with my friends or my family and then hear exactly like, and it's also very encouraging for us as worship leaders to like feel that we felt the call to like push the mission along of just a Sunday morning too, of like setting everyone's hearts right and just inviting the Holy Spirit in at the very beginning of service and saying like, God, do what you want to do with the next hour with us, and then see how he continues on what we were just doing, but in a totally different way of preaching versus like singing. So yeah, I love it.
Yeah. So let's kind of shift gears a little bit. Let's talk about, so that's like what a Sunday looks like for us. Something that a lot of people don't see when they think of worship is what it actually takes to make it happen. And sure, there's all the scheduling and planning that has to happen, but there's also like a separate team of like, it's like at least, I don't know, it's pretty much the same amount of people that you see on stage behind the scenes making it happen while it's happening.
Yep.
And that's our media and production team. What's that partnership like, and what's honestly having that family serving along with us? And I'm a firm believer in this is just as much of an act of worship as it is to run a camera or run audio. Absolutely. Or to be video directing or to be an usher and all of that stuff. Like, it's all worship. So but with that team that we partner with specifically, what does that partnership kind of look like?
I mean, we have to put our trust in them that they will run the lights and the sound and the cameras and the microphones and the speakers and everything the way we need it to go. And then they need to trust us that we will be able to do our jobs as well. So it's kind of a mutual trust between the media and the band. And we're all laughing in the morning. We're kind of going back and forth. It's just a really fun, like, camaraderie.
All delusional and super tired.
We're all super tired. We all in desperate need of coffee. But yeah, and then since they're working throughout the entire service, they don't get to step back with us for our meetings. So it's kind of more intentional relationship that we get to have with the media team of kind of checking in with them throughout the week or before run through starts and saying, hey, Gabe, how are you doing? Hey, Grant, how are you doing? And so that's kind of where like the extra intentionality comes from. And then, you know, just the mutual trust between that. But I love that you said, like, it's the same, like that we're all worshiping in our own aspects, and like we might be up here either singing or playing an instrument, but they're back there running the cameras, and it's all the same, and we're all pushing like the mission along, which is just, it's a whole team effort.
Yeah. I mean, the media team is the best team.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Like, our media and production team is, no one could do what they do in terms of services without them. And what's interesting is that they literally like, we're like responsible for like leading worship, and that feels like such a big thing, but everything that they do, like, they're like, for lack of a better term, like touching or like processing every single part of the service. And so it's such an important team. And I think, like I said, they are the best team, the dream team. And often they never get the recognition. They never are seen. And so shout out to our media and production team. Like, it's so cool seeing Brianna and Buddy and Jay, who's also my dad, Jay, and like just our entire team, Grant, Gabe, just Rick, everybody, Aaron, like, and so many more. But that team seriously is such an intricate part in making this thing happen. And honestly, like, I think as worship volunteers and even as a church, but as like the worship team, like, we really have to be sensitive to the fact of, like, sure, we're all serving, but like they are serving us. And so we have to be really, really good stewards of their hearts to serve and really show them love and appreciation. And I'd say that for our church too. Like, if you guys know of someone that's on the media and production team, thank them for what they're doing. Thank them for their contribution, because we could not do what we do without them. And I think that they have some of the hardest roles on a Sunday.
Oh, absolutely.
Because like, I could not imagine running a camera for an entire service 2 times in a row, or in the season of 3 services, like 3 services in a row. Like, it's a lot. And so shout out media team.
Shout out.
Okay. I feel like we're going long, but what does it look like to join the worship team really quickly?
Yes, we have an audition process where you'll probably get I would say if you guys, if anyone's interested in joining the worship team, find David or I on a Sunday morning and talk to us about it. And then we set up a meeting with you, and we like to just sit down and tell you what we're about, our core values and everything. And
since church is online, mostly.
Since it's mostly online.
Email us at worship@ourventure.church. That's worship@ourventure.church.
Yes.
You also find, just email us.
And then after we kind of communicate to you what it looks like, the commitment, our values and everything, we have you come in for a an audition process where you just sing a couple songs, or if you're an instrumentalist, you play a few songs, and then we let you know very shortly, like via email, of how your commitment can look like. Right now, I think most volunteers, we give you an opportunity to serve once a month, or even if that's like too often for you and you have a busy schedule and we want you to be able to attend church with your family, or sit at home and watch with your family, then we say even like once every 5 to 6 weeks. It's just literally an honor to like partner with you in worship. Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a blessing to be able to do this with so many other people.
Yeah. Such a big diversity of people too, with all different skills, jobs, ages.
It's super awesome. So yeah, we ask that you commit to about once a month or once every 5 or 6 weeks, and we, on the flip side, commit to giving you that opportunity.
Yeah.
And so you're scheduled to serve about a month in advance. You practice. We come together right now in this season we're not doing midweek rehearsals right now. And so we're Sunday mornings only. We put it together and we go through it. And the expectation is, I mean, there's Sunday morning. So let's say 7 a.m. to like 9 and 10:30. So they're like noon or so. Like, so that's what, 5 hours?
Yeah.
And then I'll be super honest, and this is where a lot of people are like, what? That's like kind of a lot of time to prepare. But if you're serving once, like you're probably putting in a handful of hours, honestly, of prep time.
Absolutely,
and that's not counting the spiritual side of the prep. And that's something that we ask people too, that you not only commit to showing up on Sundays and to practicing on your own, but the expectation is that we're all coming prayed up. And this is just as much as it is like a show up, like check that off or whatever responsibility. It's also spiritual responsibility. Like there's something that comes with being a part of this team. And granted, we all help each other get there. We grow each other. We help each other. We encourage each other along the way. But that's kind of what the commitment looks like. And the audition process, I feel like the word process makes it seem so intense. It's really not that intense. It's we assign you 2 songs to either sing or play or both or whatever. And then we ask that you give us a song that you want to prepare. We ask that you tell us what that song is so we can know what it's supposed to sound like.
Right.
So, I mean, it takes from your arrival to you setting up, if you have gear, like 25, 30 minutes max. Yeah. You play or sing in front of like Erica, myself, Parker, who's another one of the interns. Oftentimes like Pat also will be a part of that. And yeah, honestly, auditions are so fun because we get to worship with people, and it's such people, if you have never served on a worship team, it can seem kind of intimidating, but it's really, really simple. Yeah. And I think more than anything, it's encouraging.
For sure. It definitely is. Yeah.
Yeah. So all of this to say, we want to pitch 2 things to you, church. One, if you sing or if you play an instrument, we'd love for you to prayerfully consider what it's like or what it would look like for you to be a part of the worship ministry. And maybe this season is not the right season for you, but maybe come the new year or come fall or whatever you're comfortable with. If you would like to audition, please reach out. You can email our department at worship@ourventure.church. And I want to throw this out because our team partners so much with our media and production team. If you love like lighting or sound is cool to you, or you see these cameras and all of the graphics on screens or on the live stream or here in the auditorium on the big screens, like if that is of interest to you or you have experience in that area, and that's what's cool is that you don't have to have camera experience to join the media and production team and run a camera.
Oh, absolutely.
It's pretty simple. I feel like almost anybody could do it. It's pretty straightforward. We train you. We ask you and make sure that you're comfortable before you end up doing a service and things like that. But if you're interested in joining our media and production team, I also want to throw that out to you. Like Gabe and myself and Grant Fox, our new technical director, like we would all like to partner with you and train you and equip you to serve our church, whether it's worship or media and production or both or anything. So for sure. I want to say, if you want to join worship team, email us at worship@ourventure.church. If you want to join the media and production team, email media@ourventure.church. So for media and production, it's just media@ourventure.church. And if you're interested in serving in general, maybe you want to be an usher, maybe you are just wanting to explore how you can serve and worship or media are maybe not the right fit for you, email us at info@ourventure.church. It takes so many hands to make this thing happen.
Absolutely.
And we are so thankful to be a part of a church that just has a congregation that wants to be all in, that wants to be all hands on deck. But as you are comfortable and as you want to, and as the Lord maybe kind of calls you to step into serving, we'd love for you to serve. So worship at ourventure.church, media at ourventure.church, and or info at ourventure.church.
Yep.
And
you can see a theme there.
Yep.
Yeah. Also, if you guys are even just looking on how you can further along the mission with us and partner with us, something that's really special is just knowing that you guys are watching and worshiping with us on a Sunday morning, whether it's behind a computer screen or you're coming here. We literally say that just the best part of our week is being able to just unite in worship with the entire congregation. And that's the most special thing to us, because then all, practice is kind of put aside and we're just going at it with Jesus, with everyone. And that's the most special part to us, when we get to just unite with an entire body of Christ in the congregation, and we see the pastors worshiping and the kids worshiping and the adults and people dancing, raising their hands. That's just the most reward. So if you're even looking for a way to partner with us, just open your heart to be voluntary enough to let yourself worship with us and try and experience it, because God will rock your world.
Yeah. I love it. All right, church.